From the bottom of the man to the land down under, you feel my drive, see my vision, and hear my hunger. As my money gets older, theirs get younger. They sell their soul, but the devil knows I have no number. I'm go-go, baby, for sure, baby. Go-go, baby, uh-oh, baby. No, baby, yeah, baby. Now tickle it, baby, let me tickle it, baby. I know I'm lost, it's gonna be hard to save me. I'm sorry, that's how they count and raise me. Y'all heard me right, we run the night. Now fuck you, pay me.
Run them. Run them. Feel like a rash, brushing past me all over my skin. I can get enough, 'cause the beat keep pulling me in. Taking me so high up, places I've never been. Party all night, sleep all day, then do it again. Party after we run the night. Run them. Run them.
Give me a second, I need to get my story straight. My friends are in the bathroom getting higher than the Empire State. My lover, she's waiting for me just across the bar. My seat's been taken by some sunglasses, asking about a scar. And I know I gave it to you months ago. I know you're trying to forget, but between the drinks and subtle things, the holes in my apologies, you know, I'm trying hard to take.
This is the last time we're gonna be on the same field together as a family.
Feel like falling down, I'll carry you home tonight. We are young, so let's set the world on fire. We can burn brighter than the sun. No, I know that I'm not all that you got. I guess that I just thought maybe we could find new ways to fall apart. But our friends are back, so let's raise a toast. 'Cause I found someone to carry me home tonight. We are young, so let's set the world closes and you feel like falling down, I'll carry you home tonight.
ricochet, you take your aim far away, far away. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. Cut me down, but it's you who have further
So, John, yeah. So when we do the team, they are sponsoring the whole Connecticut team. They have a video presentation. So what I believe is going to happen is we play the video and then Tom will speak.
Okay. You can just introduce me. I'll set up the video, and then, right? Yeah, just introduce. Actually,
How many years have you been?
I think
A few years you've been?
No, this is first year.
Okay.
Yeah, they're a first year sponsor.
First year sponsor. If you could just, you know what, maybe you could set up a recording. Just play it, and then I'll come up and speak.
Okay.
And then it's like that. After I'm done, is that when you're allowed to words?
So yeah, so what will happen is you'll make your comments. The players will get. He'll have the players go into the hall. We're gonna say, well, go into the hall. Then you'll cue up the video, and then he'll speak, and then they'll introduce
Okay,
the
so
team.
you're saying to the players go into the hall.
Yeah.
So if you could just do, there's a new company, if you wouldn't mind doing this, just say there's a new company, first year sponsor, Breakfast of Champions, and here's a brief video to explain the company. Then you'll introduce me, and then I'll get up, say a few comments, and then I'll pass it back to you.
Yep, and he'll take it from there.
Okay? Is that all right?
For you to achieve that.
First year sponsor of the Connecticut All-State team, and we have a brief
I can still stutter. Jelly smile when the event's over. That's real good. But I'm more nervous when I come back about you get to dinner. Every year she gives me anxiety. She drives. When we live up in Suffolk, Connecticut, we have a pretty much. She's only for coming to the dinner and leaving. So now I gotta meet her outside where she parks. It's New Haven, so where she parks. So I'm more nervous about that. Right. Amazing, you know. And your whole childhood, pretty your mother. Yeah. You get married, then you're pretty your wife. Well, that's how it works. Get nervous.
Show me how you do. I wanna shut down the club with you. Hey, I heard you like the wild ones, wild ones, wild ones.
Oh, I like crazy, foolish, stupid, party going wild, fist pumping music. I might lose it, glass to the roof, how we lose it. I don't care tonight, she don't care. We like almost there, the right vibe, ready to get live. Ain't no surprise, take me so high, jumping those dives, surfing the ground. And I gotta get a man, I'm letting my band like
It's 40 years. That's 5 years. They're good. Now there's other people. A little nervous. Sale to be
Yeah, well, I'm wondering sort of
There's got to be a transition there.
Show me how you do. I wanna shut down the club with you. Hey, I heard you like the wild ones, wild ones, wild ones.
party rocker, for showstopper, more shampoo, #1 club hopper. Got a hangover like too much vodka. Can't see me with 10 binoculars. So cool, no doubt by the end of the night, got the clothes coming off, then I make that move. Somehow, some way, gotta raise the roof. All black shades when the sun come through. It's on like everything goes. Wild out, baby, to the freak it shows. What happens to that body is a private show. Stays right here, private show. I like a mundane, don't fucking high pain. Tolerance bottoms up when it's champagne. My life, come on, Muhammad, then we hit fame. Too easy with you there, we get insane.
Hey, I heard you were a wild one. Ooh, if I took you home and be your owner, show me how you do.
I'll get another table. He's just here.
All right, you ready to roll? Let's do this.
John Mark's here?
Yes.
Johnny, you all set? Yeah.
Good? All right. Good morning, everybody. If we could all take our seats and get settled in, we're going to get the program started now. Welcome, everybody, to the 6th Annual Breakfast of Champions. To take this program right through the agenda, a man that deserves no introduction because we all know him. He does a great job covering high school sports all throughout Connecticut. From News 8, John Pearson.
No introduction, huh? Thank you very much, James. It's great to be here. I'm a lifelong resident of Connecticut. Went to high school here in Connecticut, played high school sports. I now have children, a son who's in high school, so the high school community really means a lot to me, and it has for years. I see right here Kyle McIntosh, Tarek Salah sitting here. I remember them playing in high school. Seems like just yesterday, and it was fun to watch them. It's been great to watch the teams, what you've done this year, the Ansonia, the Xavier, the Hand of Madison, Hillhouse, there you go. How did I forget Hillhouse? Tom Dyer, one of my favorite guys around. All the coaches are. What we have here today is a really unique event that, I'm really happy the Walter Camp Football Foundation put this into motion. It's now the 6th year of this Breakfast of Champions, and for an event that's been happening now for 46 years, this has been a great add to the weekend. We recognize the college athletes, the pro athletes that have come in, and you know what? High school really deserves the recognition it gets, and I've seen so much of it over the years, and I'm not just saying this because I'm here today. The level has really taken off every single year, and having the chance to cover it now at News 8, it's one of my favorite things to cover. You go out there, the coaches welcome you with open arms. The student athletes have really not been told what to say, how to say it, and it's real. It's the grassroots, if you will, and it's been one of my favorite things to cover. And I won't go and do a college event and tell them the same thing. It really is a fun event to cover. Now today is a lot to cover in a short amount of time, so I won't spend too much time up here early. But we have 4 state champions to honor today, and I mentioned them in Xavier, a three-peat. Who does that? I mean, that is unheard of. A great job by Sean Marin and his staff. We have the L champs, back-to-back Hand of Madison. Steve Filippone, wonderful job for years with the Tigers. That senior class came one game of going 3 straight years undefeated, which was amazing. And they're also the second most decorated state champion in the state. You have Hillhouse. Tom Dyer has done a wonderful job over there. He has a senior class coming back next year that will be going for a 3rd championship in 4 years. And then you have the Ansonia Chargers, the most state championships in the state with 18 back-to-back on a 28-game win streak. What you have all accomplished is pretty amazing. I played high school sports, got close, made the playoffs, but most high school athletes never get to experience a championship. And it's been because of your hard work, great coaching, great support system. I know parents are probably running around, family members are running around to make it happen. So all of you should really give yourself a round of applause. You have done a great work, everybody. Now, there's plenty of awards to go to the teams. There's a Connecticut Team of the Year that will be honored. There's a Player of the Year. It's still sealed right here. I can't tell. I'd give you a little heads up, but I can't see through that. There's a Coach of the Year. There's a You Can Inspire award for a student athlete who has had success on the field, but beyond that. And there's also some other new awards coming out this year as well. So I'm not going to talk anymore. I'm going to bring up the president of the foundation. Without volunteers in this Walter Camp Football Foundation, this weekend would not happen. And John Marks has been one of the guys who has been involved for years, has climbed the ladder, and is now in his 2nd year as president, and has done a wonderful job like everyone before him, and I'm sure everyone will behind him. So here is John Marks.
Thank you, John. Wow, 6 years. Can't believe these guys have taken, look at this events, turned into such a great event. James Thompson, Kevin Digby, Brian and Don Crouch, thanks to this committee for putting this on, enhancing this, and showing our commitment to high school sports in the state of Connecticut. So Walter Camp has sponsored the SCC and the Hall of Fame Classic for several years now, and just showing our true commitment. Great job by the committee here today. Just a few thank yous before we get into the program. Congratulations to the Connecticut All-State team and the finalists for Coach and Player of the Year. And to the high school champions here today, Hillhouse High, Xavier, Ansonia, and the Walter Camp Kelly Award winner as the #1 team in the state, Hand High of Madison. My son plays 8th grade football in Wallingford, and the Madison team beat us twice this year and won that division. So, you guys look like you're just reloading like Alabama, so we'll probably see you guys here again in the future. And congratulations to the family of the late Jack Hunt, the recipient of the Lifetime Achievement Award. My wife and sister-in-law were cheerleaders for Ansonia years ago, so I've always heard of the legendary Jack Hunt. Great job by the committee to recognize Jack today. Thanks to the High School Coaches Association, and of course to our sponsors, NFC Sports, Stadium System, Achieve Athletics, and UCAN. John Pearson, great job emceeing this morning, and you guys are real fortunate. You got two great speakers here today, David Fulcher and Herm Edwards. We always love to hear these guys speak, so you're in for a real treat. So with that, I'll turn it back over to John. Thank you. Congratulations, everyone.
Thank you, John. Yeah, and you mentioned Herm Edwards, David Fulcher here to speak today, and very fortunate. David's been a great friend to the foundation for years, and I remember him as a player. Others may not. He's gone on to do great things beyond the football field. Herm Edwards, some here may remember him as a player, whether it be in college, in the pros. Some may remember him as a head coach, and some may know him by turning on ESPN and seeing him, whether it's Sports Center or First Take, whatever it may be. ESPN Radio, he's all over the place, and he does a terrific job as well. So first order of business is, I mentioned the Inspire Award, the UCAN Inspire Award, and it's an award that's been given out to an athlete who will do great on the field, but goes way, way beyond that. And I can't really do it justice, so I will bring up the man who will present that, and he is Peter Kaufman. Peter Kaufman, everybody.
Good morning, everyone. I am Peter Kaufman. I'm the Executive Vice President for Generation UCAN and one of the founding partners of the company. I want to congratulate all of you champions in the room, the Walter Camp All-Americans, the alumni, all of the state champions and their coaches, Coach Philippone and Coach Edwards. We appreciate very much being a sponsor of Walter Camp. It's our 3rd year as a sponsor. And we're very thankful to the folks at Walter Camp who have invited our participation. This year we're especially pleased to be presenting the first annual UCAN Inspire Award, presented by the Walter Camp Foundation and Generation UCAN. I'd like to just read to you what was sent out to the coaches, inviting them to nominate some of their athletes for this award. The UCAN Inspire Award symbolizes the core value that Generation UCAN was founded on: the unwavering desire to find success in the face of a great challenge, a local family's determination to provide a better life for their young son who suffered from a rare condition that caused him to have dangerous energy imbalances, led to the discovery of a healthy and game-changing carbohydrate called superstarch that now fuels athletes from high school to the pros. Generation UCAN is today's nutrition for tomorrow's champions. The UCAN Inspire Award will be given to the Connecticut high school football player who best exemplifies the UCAN spirit both on and off the field. Nominees for the award will be selected based on the following criteria. Student athlete has overcome a physical, mental, emotional, or personal challenge and still managed to make a meaningful contribution to the team either on or off the field. Student athlete has used position on the team to uplift others at the school or in the community. Student athlete has served as an inspiration through hard work and contribution to the team. Student athlete is held in high regard by teammates, coaching staff, and members of the school and the community. And the award is not one that is based solely on performance and stats on the field. want to take a few minutes before I present the award to a very deserving individual to explain why, besides the fact that the award has our name built into it, it's very appropriate for us to be presenting the You Can Inspire Award. Now, I got to tell you, I've never been a good speaker, especially in front of a large crowd. But fortunately, as I was thinking yesterday about what I'd say today, I kind of quickly realized that I could simply reflect on some of the things that have inspired me over the past couple of years, and that happens to be pretty easy. It's easy because I've been in the enviable position of having many inspiring UCAN stories with our company. So I just want to take less than a minute and tell you what our products are for those of you that may not be familiar with them, just so you'll have some context for what I'm going to describe to you as some of the inspiring UCAN stories. We've only had products on the market for 2.5 years, so you may not all be familiar with them, but our products had unique origins in that it was a product, the products are based on a new carbohydrate that doesn't act like any calorie source in the world today. Originally, it was developed for medical purposes for children with a very rare disease that one of my co-founders' sons has. Everything else for us was an accident, but it turns out this carbohydrate has huge implications for sports, for athletics, and in fact for weight loss and diabetes and general health. And that's why you're going to hear some very inspiring stories that I've got from the company. I will say that although we do call our products sports nutrition products, while you'll hear inspirational ads from other sports nutrition companies, you hear some very inspirational stories, true stories from Generation UCAN. So one obvious source of inspiration for us has been and for me, has been the athletes that have told us they've benefited significantly from our products. One athlete that comes to mind is Marty Fish. You may not all know him, but Marty Fish, coming back from knee surgery, was ranked 108th in the world in tennis. Marty lost 31 pounds in 5 months because I didn't get into enough detail, but the carbohydrate in our products, the unique characteristics of the carbohydrate are there are no highs and lows in blood sugar, all right? There's almost no reaction by insulin in the body to the carbohydrate. All carbohydrates, except ours, cause an insulin reaction. Insulin tells the body to store fat. Because we did not have an insulin reaction to this product, we force the body to burn more fat as its fuel throughout and post-exercise. So you lean out over time, less body fat and more muscle. You can see when the implications are pretty broad in general health. And you need to exercise on far fewer calories because you're burning many more of your own fat store calories. So Marty Fish, coming back from knee surgery, was overweight, 108th in the world. He lost 31 pounds over the next 5 months. 100% of that weight loss was fat. He was 160 pounds lean before and after the 5 months. And he became the #1 player in the United States. He became the eighth in the world. And in fact, even though he had that quick weight loss and played at the highest level of tennis, his energy was commented on by all the commentators as to be at the highest levels he ever had in his career, which is why he did so well. We've had Meb Keflezighi. He's the top marathoner in the United States. Age 37, Meb came in 4th in the London Olympics in the marathon. And actually, he did a better time than when he won his silver medal in 2004. Donna McCullum, she climbed Everest on our product. She told me that she climbed the first 5 mountains. She was trying to do all 7 of the top peaks in the world. At a much younger age, she wanted to wait until her daughter was old enough to live without her before she attempted Everest. And when she got to the top of Everest, after she reached 26,000 feet to the summit of 29,000 feet, she said food no longer digests, so fluids are essential and critical for a successful summit. She said, I carried my UCAN product with me right to the top of the world. Linda Quirk, a grandmother, age 57, was the first American woman and oldest woman ever to complete all 4 desert marathons in 1 year, over 150 miles each desert marathon. She was a grandmother. She did it all for charity. Amazing woman. These things are inspiring. In football, just to bring it a little closer to home, Jeff Saturday called me one day, center for the Colts and the Packers, and told me, Pete, this stuff is amazing. I used it for 60 days before and after my workouts. I lost 10 pounds of fat, put on 7 pounds of muscle. Mike Woysick, the strength coach for the Cowboys, was with the Patriots. Six Super Bowl rings, more than any coach or player in history. Loves the product, uses it himself, uses it with the teams. We've got NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball teams and players that are using the products. In college football, all throughout this past season, we had at least, regardless of the rankings, 4 of the top 10 ranked teams in the country were using our products. They all get free Gatorade, but they buy our products. We finished the season with 3 of the top 5 using our products. My favorite athletes, I call them athletes, are the guys in special operations in the military. We're seeing amazing performance results from these guys on our products. Again, very inspiring, these soldier warriors that are using our products. And then there are more inspiring hints of what's to come in the athletic world. This is going to be important, and we're going to try to get to the Players Association in the NFL. The average NFL lineman, I understand, lives to be 53 years old. Mike Wright retired from the Patriots this past year. He had his 4th concussion. And he told me that in 6 months, he went from 305 to 240, 13.5% to 9.7% body fat. He said, I used your product before and after my workouts in the morning. And it was interesting to me. He used it at 5 o'clock every day because he said it helped curb his desire for carbohydrates through and post-dinner. 65 pounds in 6 months. He said he did it right way with UCAN. Again, inspiring. So what's also inspiring is that we ultimately think we can help linemen live longer and spend more time with their families. The other thing I want to comment on is what's especially fortunate is that these athlete stories, it turns out, are the least important and inspiring stories for us at UCAN. We get emails every week from people telling us this is changing their lives. People with diabetes saying it's changed their lives. We had a Facebook post from a woman who said, my child, 2 years old, has type 1 diabetes. I could not sleep through his naps. I keep checking his glucose levels, feeding him glucose. She said, my story is not as inspiring as all your athlete stories, but of course she didn't realize it was far more inspiring to us. She said, I'm crying as I write this, but I put my 2-year-old on UCAN, and I'm sleeping through his naps. This is just wonderful for me. We've had people with cancer tell us it's the only thing I can keep down because this is extremely easy on the gut. We don't bother the stomach. It's giving me great energy. So those are the kinds of stories that have been completely inspiring to us. And to go to the origins and what's happened with Jonah, my co-founder's son. Jonah's disease is one where he cannot produce blood sugar in his liver like everybody else. It's a very rare disease. It's a genetic defect. It affects maybe 3,000 kids in the country. He has to be fed cornstarch, plain cornstarch, 8 to 10 times a day because it converts to glucose, blood sugar, outside the liver and keeps him alive for 2 to 3 hours. Has to be woken up twice every night. He's 12 years old now. He's now getting 8 hours on a single dose of our UCAN at night. His parents are sleeping first time since he was born 12 years ago. So the story right there would have been great if it ended there, but it just turned out there were so many great things that this carbohydrate has implications for. So my latest inspiration is in the audience with you this morning. I'd like to show a video which will far better than I talk about George Kanoth. On the sides, you may need to move. I know you might have to stand up, but you want to see this.
This is the last time we're going to be on the same field together as a family, as brothers. Make this a memory. Let's go, boys.
Football really tests your will and your character, and that's definitely shaped who I am. It's taught me how to fight through adversity when it comes up, because in life you're going to get a lot of adversity, and it's not going to be easy. It's not supposed to be.
He gives you everything that he has. He tries to lift up all the rest of the team. Every player that looks like they're starting to fall off, he like sticks his hand out and drags them right back. He's done a phenomenal job with his leadership from the time he was a freshman here until the time he's graduated.
Leadership comes naturally to Jonathan Law High School linebacker George Kanoth, both on the football field and at home.
I have a brother, Justin, who's a freshman here at Jonathan Law. He has autism. He's higher functioning. I have a brother, Samuel, who's 12, who has autism as well, and he's lower functioning. It's more severe.
From the time he was 7 years old, George has taken an active approach towards autism, educating himself about the disorder so he could provide support for his 2 brothers.
They can be very unpredictable. They want what they want as soon as they can, and sometimes when you can't provide that for them, they get very frustrated. It's not always easy. There's going to be times when there might be a lot of yelling in the house or something like that, but as a family you just have to fight through that. My parents work incredibly hard to provide for us, and I just don't want them to come home and feel even more pressure dealing with my brothers, so I really try and take as much of that responsibility as I can to make sure that they're all clean, that they've taken their showers and everything, and that they're taking care of themselves and gotten their homework done.
I think they're all happy too.
Yeah, I don't think the manager does.
In addition to helping out at home, George has worked to raise awareness for autism in the community, helping organize an Autism Awareness Day at the mall in Milford, and mentoring kids with autism at the Connecticut Center for Child Development. For the last 2 seasons, the Jonathan Law football team has worn a blue puzzle piece on the back of their helmets, which is the symbol for autism.
He makes it cool. I mean, I think he's kind of like a great spokesman for autism. A lot of people kind of shy away from it a little bit because they really don't know what it's about. But George brings coolness to autism.
A lot of people who aren't really involved with autism as much as we are, they just kind of look down upon people like that. They don't really take an interest in who they are, and they might not even see them as human beings necessarily. And that's one thing that, you know, was really hit home for me. They are human beings, and I love all of them, and it's just, and I've just been trying to tell people, you know, that they're great kids and that they love everybody and they just need to be loved.
Wow. So as amazing as that was, I want to tell you there are even more ways that George inspires before I bring him up here. All through high school, George has been a diversity dream team member. They work to break down barriers between races among student populations. As a freshman, he did a 30-hour fast to fundraise and raise funds for African nations to obtain food. He ran a camp for underprivileged children, including basic academics. He was part of the Challenge Youth Conference. He traveled to New Orleans and painted and moved furniture for schools that had been damaged in Hurricane Katrina. He visits senior citizens in their nursing home, providing companionship and assisting in conducting worship services. Amazing. He's volunteered and raised money for cancer research. He peer mentors disabled children to learn the fundamentals of basketball. And it was mentioned in the video, but I just want to review his work with autism. George provides direct support and guidance daily to my 2 brothers with autism. These efforts focus on building leisure skills, play skills, self-help, and daily living skills while offering brotherly guidance and support. The overall goal is to build close bonds with my disabled siblings while simultaneously easing the excess stress placed on my parents by the challenges faced in raising multiple children with autism. I told my daughter last night, she's a sophomore in college, about George. I was reviewing George with her, and she said, "He's not real." So what an extraordinary young man. George, you're amazing. I know you'll continue your great work, and we wish you all the best in all you do. We all thank you for helping so many and for inspiring all of us. Please come up and accept the first annual Breakfast of Champions You Can Inspire Award. Sorry. Yes, yes. So we have for George the certificate, the You Can Inspire first annual inaugural You Can Inspire Award. And you'll find a few other things in here, George. We've got a little bit of cash, that never hurts. We've got a set of the All-American player cards that the All-Americans will be receiving at the dinner tomorrow night. Make sure you get all those signed. And then we do have some product for you to try, and we wish you the best in everything you do.
Well, I just want to thank you, Ken, for this award. This is an unbelievable opportunity. And I want to first thank my Lord, Savior Jesus Christ, for blessing me with the ability to play football and have such an amazing family. Thank you to my parents for raising me and always loving me, and to Coach Robinson for all the sacrifices you make for our team. So thank you.
Great work, George. And, you know, we see leadership on the field, leadership in the classroom, and that's leadership in life right there. And what a great young man. Nice job, Mom and Dad. As parents, we know how hard it can be sometimes, but as he said, you know, they've been there and loved him the whole time. And keep up the good work, George. So we go from one sponsor, You Can Inspire, who's been involved with the foundation for a few years, and as this foundation continues to grow, this event has grown over the years. Some more sponsors have come on board. The latest, a new arrival, is Achieve Athletics. CEO Tom White is here, and Tom will be up in a minute to say a few words, but first let's take a look at the new sponsor, Achieve Athletics. I think you saw the Connecticut Walter Camp All Connecticut team there. It's the third annual, and Tom White and his company Achieve Athletics are here to present that. So let's bring Tom up right now.
Good morning. Thank you very much. First order of business, though, I'm told by Don and James, correct, Kevin, is would all the Connecticut All-State players stand up? And you have to go out because we're going to be calling your names right here. So please stand up and exit the building over here. And do it, you know, like you're at practice. Good morning again. I want to thank Don Crouch, James Thompson, Tony Mortale, who's not here, and Bill O'Brien, and all the committee members for giving Achieve Athletics the opportunity to be a part of such a special event. It's really a great opportunity. We're a new company. We're located here in Branford, and we have a mission that you saw on that presentation, and it's a little bit different. And I'd like to share with you what our mission is while the guys are getting organized out there. You know, it was so inspirational to me to hear Peter's presentation for the UCAN Inspiration Award, and George, you really represent what our company represents. Congratulations to you. What an outstanding person you are. And that's important to us. You should be very proud. Your family, I know, are all very proud of what your accomplishments are and what you stand for. I'd like to congratulate all the winners and all the athletes and coaches who are going to be honored this morning. You know, to be involved with Walter Camp is truly an honor, and it's an honor for us to be here. And I'd like to pay tribute to Walter Camp for what he stood for. He truly was a pioneer for this game of football. He was known as the father of football. His presence is felt in every football game that's played across America. Walter Camp was a man who was ahead of his time. I believe he was born in 1859. He was a fitness fanatic. He worked out. He was very intelligent, attended Yale. So he has inspired us. And I truly believe if Walter Camp was alive today, he would support our brand message. Because our brand message doesn't only stand for performance on the field, it stands for performance off the field too. And we put an emphasis on working your mind as much as your body. To us, it's the most important muscle you have to work. And most importantly, like George displayed this morning, be a leader, not a follower. The young athletes in our presentation, along with George, are an inspiration. I believe these young athletes can inspire many of the pros with what they're getting it done. The athletes that we put on our presentation were a part of our scholarship program, which we have very similar to UCAN's Inspiration Award. And our scholarship is about rewarding these athletes for getting it done on and off the field. Our 2012 recipient was one of your own, and many of you may know him, Sebastian Little, who is an outstanding high school football player from Cheshire. You know, he was tremendous on the field, but most impressive to me is what Sebastian did off the field, similar to George. He was a 4.0 student. He was vice president of his senior class. And he did many, many charitable things. Again, whether you're an NFL coach, whether you're a coach, a businessman, kids like George, kids like Sebastian can inspire us. You know, there are some athletic brands and some athletes that aspire to be the best football player, to be the best basketball player, to be the best golfer. There are many athletic brands that inspire them to be just that. And we applaud them for their focus on being the best athlete. But our mission is a little different. We'd like to inspire them to be the best people, the best person they can be, on and off the field, to work their mind as much as the fitness, and to lead and not follow. Make the right decisions in life. We're a brand targeted for you, the young athlete. And in doing so, you'll achieve your dreams, which is what our slogan, Climb the Mountain, is all about. So with that, thank you for this time. I think we're cued. I'll pass it back to our MC. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Real quickly, we'll tell you how the selections were made here. Just weren't picked out of a hat. Obviously, these guys are extremely talented, but there was a committee set up with a coach from each conference. You had Tom Brockett from Ansonia representing the NVL, John Johnson of Bullard Havens, the CSC, Craig Bruno of Bunnell, SWC, Jay Goucher of Enfield, the Pequot, Tom Dyer from Hill House, the SEC, Jim Bunicor, Ledyard, ECC, Mike Drury of Southington, the CCC, and Bruce Cunningham of Wilton, the FCIAC. So they gathered names, players' names, they voted, and this is the team that they came up with. And if the team can hear me out there, as you make your way up here to gather your award, once you're done, please make your way to the right behind the staircase. Each team is going to take a offensive, defensive, and special teams photo. So without further ado, let's get this thing rolling. This is one of the many reasons we're here and one of the most exciting reasons we're here. We're going to start it off with the quarterback of the team. He's a good one, been a good one for years. He's from Xavier High, Tim Boyle. As Tim's taking his photo, we'll get to the running backs now as well. This young man has one more year to go. He's shattering records along the way for Tom Brockett's Ansonia Chargers. He's already the career leader in touchdowns in the state, and he has a whole season to go. Arkell Newsom. Another terrific running back with another year to go has helped Tom Dyer's club at Hill House. He's one of the many talented and very quick players. I wouldn't want to try to chase down either of these guys. Harold Cooper. Of course, we need some wide receivers to throw the ball to. Our first guy comes out of Ansonia, helps open things up for Arkell Newsom and the rest of that Charger offense. Andrew Matos. Also a wide receiver, another Xavier standout for Sean Marinen's club, Christopher Luster. He hears your applause wherever he may be today, so he was not able to make it. Tight end, a guy who has been banging for years for Manchester, Andrew Isaacs. He's a big boy. And if you think Andrew's big at 6'3", 215, let's get to the line play. As you'll hear every coach say, right, Coach Edwards, it starts up front with the line? Yeah. So let's start with our lineman, Hector Rodriguez of Berlin High School, the Redcoats. And I don't want to get any of these guys' names wrong for sure. Jacob Basilica from Montville is also on the line, goes 6'4", 305, another big fella that the defensive line had to deal with over the years. Mars Petrosio always does a great job with his Staples program. The Wreckers, Kyle Vaughn. Wilton has one of the first team offensive selections here. Michael LaSala, another lineman being honored today. And our final lineman to be honored today is Max Schumann, another of the Xavier standouts, another state champion. All right, as the offense gathers behind the stairs to take their team photo, let's talk a little bit about the defense. We're going to start with Capital Prep linebacker, goes 6'1", 235 pounds, Mike Jones. Congratulations, Mike. This young man was a star for Steve Filippone's Tigers of Hand. He will be attending UConn, the in-state university, next year. Wants to play linebacker, probably see him at fullback. You never know. A talented guy who I wouldn't want to be hit by, Matt Walsh. Another of the talented linebacking crew, another Manchester guy who has helped that program take off in the last couple of years, Marquise Little. Xavier has some good defenders as well of offensive players. Max Taliki is here, linebacker for Sean Marinen's club. This young man's also a talented running back, runs alongside Harold Cooper. Watch him on the basketball court, too. The kid is a blur and a fun player to watch at guard. Andre Anderson as D-back. NFA has made a nice rise, was one win away from a state championship this year. Joey Paparelli is a big reason why. He's also another defensive back from the team. Year in and year out, Platt will have some good players as well. Justin Potts is the latest great player to come out of Platt. Justin. Staples is a yearly contender for the state title. James Frusciante is not here today. He's making an official college visit to Penn today, so we wish him luck, but we can still give him a round of applause. He's also on the team. The defensive line, start with those guys here. Hand of Madison has a lot of guys across the board. They start them young, they come through the system and turn out great players, great young men. Peter Gerson is another player. Ledyard, they've had some big guys across the line. Kyle Wilson is a member of the Connecticut All-American team, or All-High School team. NFA has defensive lineman Tuzar Skipper is here today to be honored. Tuzar, congratulations. And last but not least, for the defensive line, Cole Ormsby of Windsor, another team who came close to winning a state championship this year. Great job this year, Cole. We have 3 special teams players to be awarded as well as the defense gets their picture taken. Kicker Edward Groth of Shelton. This kid can really let it go. He comes from a family of kickers. He's here today to be honored. We did a high school game this year, watching him in warm-ups, knocking 50-yarders off the goalpost. He's got a big leg, so I'm sure Mom and Dad are here, but good job passing it down to the boys. They all have big legs and did great for the Gales of Shelton. The punter on this year's team, Mike Nicolai of Wolcott. Mike. Probably play more positions than punter, right? What else?
It's quarterback, free safety.
Quarterback, free safety as well, so a multi-talented guy. You can grab your award right there, Mike. Great job. All right, and the final, a returner, a talented guy as well. Offensive, defense, terrific baseball player. Will probably be selected in the Major League Draft this June. Thomas Milone out of Massac played for John Murphy and was a state title winner over his career. So that is your team this year, your 3rd annual Walter Camp Connecticut All-High School team. Let's hear it for all the guys one more time. All right, as they're getting settled in, a quick announcement. A lot of these gentlemen have played in the Hall of Fame All-Star game throughout their years, and deservedly so. The game's going to change a little bit this year. The Hall of Fame game is going to be no longer Rhode Island coming into Rentschler Field to take on a team from Connecticut. It's going to be 2 Connecticut teams competing against each other. And if anyone's interested, after this is all said and done, there'll be a press availability and a little bit of an announcement about that. So if there's media members here today, I'm sure there are. I thought I saw a few walk in. Stick around for that, and anyone else who'd like to stick around and hear more about that is welcome to do that. Now, here's the real exciting thing, too. We've had some guest speakers. We talked about them earlier. Mr. David Fulcher, Mr. Herm Edwards are here to talk. Now, these are guys who've been there, done that. I'm sure we're honored as high school players, honored as college athletes, honored in the pros. One guy I see has been so consistent over the years. I've attended this event since I was probably 12, 13 years old, in awe of a lot of these guys. I'm not saying you're that old, David. I know you're still a young man. But David Fulcher has been there a lot. And if you look at David Fulcher, you know, he played safety, 6'3", 240 pounds. I'm not sure any of the receivers from this year's team will want a guy like that bearing down on them as they caught the ball across the middle. David had so much success in college at Arizona State, went on to a pro career, competed in the Super Bowl. So this guy has been there, done that. Let's hear from David Fulcher, a great speaker and a great guy.
Good morning. You know, I sit here and I listen to some stories and see some inspiring messages. And George, you're my hero, baby. It's unbelievable the things that you do. But I look back at as a high school kid, and I'm from California, West Coast guy. Quick high school football story. The city, California is pretty big, so we don't have state championships. We have city championships. And the city semifinal football game, my football team in high school, and I was a wide receiver in high school, 6 feet, 195 pounds when I graduated from high school. In my senior year, we were playing in a semifinal game against a team that we had beat earlier in the year, pretty bad. But we lost our starting tight end, got hurt, and so everything was thrown on me. So we're losing 19-18 with about a few seconds left in the game, and I've caught 3 touchdowns, and things were going well. So we had 4th down and 3 on about the 30-yard line, and didn't have a field goal kicker, so we had to try to get it in the end zone. And so I'm a flanker, and I come in motion like I'm going to crack down on the outside linebacker, and we pitched our ball to our tailback, and he had a pretty good arm, and we had never ran this play. We practiced it the whole year, but never ran it. And so we pitched it to our tailback, and the whole entire defensive team ran right by me. I ran a post corner. I turned back to look for the football and couldn't see the tailback, and all of a sudden I saw his arm. Ball comes out, and the ball went into the lights. And the next time I saw the ball, it hit me in the face mask. Falls to the ground. We lose a chance to go to the state championship. After the game was over with, my coaching staff decided it was best for me to ride back on the cheerleaders bus. Not because of, David dropped the football. It was because of growing up in Los Angeles. We had a pretty good football team, but we also had some gang members on our football team that got mad and they wanted to come after me. So they wanted me to ride on the cheerleaders bus back to the school. And that was on a Saturday night. And then Monday morning, come back to school, well, the girl that I thought was my girlfriend, she quit me. She didn't want to have anything to do with me anymore. And then my first 3 bells of school on the board, chalkboard, is Fulcher lost a chance to go to state championship. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because I remember as a kid growing up, there were a couple of things that my dad, who's a police officer in Los Angeles, used to tell me as a young man. One was stay the course. Number 2 was be determined on what you're doing and keep it alive. And the third thing was finish what you start. I have my wife's here, Judy, and my daughter Kayla's here, and my daughter's a softball player in her senior year, and I always tell them, stay the course and finish what you start. Now, when those things happened to me in high school, I got a scholarship to play football at Arizona State University as a wide receiver. And I get there as a receiver, and a month into school, they wouldn't let me catch balls, so they wanted me to play defensive back. And I think at the time, they were the only school that really wanted me to play defensive back was Arizona State. So they gave me an opportunity to make that choice. And when I got there, I wound up switching to safety. But the story for me being in college was I'm 6'2", 215 pounds as a free safety, and they moved me to strong. But I was always told that I couldn't do those things. And I tell you young men today, stay the course, finish what you start. Because 4 years later, I get drafted by the Cincinnati Bengals to play safety. And at that time, I'm 6'3", 6'4", 240 pounds playing safety. Now, I know when somebody says 240 playing safety, it doesn't make sense. There's no way he could do that. There was a gentleman who handles the draft, Mel Kiper. I hope anybody's not friends with Mel, but that's okay.
Put the junior on there.
Okay, Mel Kiper Jr. Mel said there's no way this guy could play in the NFL at safety at that size. And then I started going back to the things that my dad told me. Stay the course, finish what you start. 8 years later in the NFL, 1 Super Bowl, defensive back of the year in 1989, and I played in 3 Pro Bowls. So I go back to those folks that said I couldn't do it. That's what I did, because I was determined to do it. I wasn't going to let anybody tell me any way different, any shape or any form, that I couldn't do it. But like I said, there are things that we have to finish. 16 years ago, my wife Judy was diagnosed with MS. And we had no idea what it was. We didn't know what was going on. We could have given up. And in my household, my wife has MS, but so do we, because we don't want her to feel like she's separated from us. We started that foundation years ago, and we help those that are affected by it. But once again, we stay the course. We participate in a lot of things. I do a lot of things outside of football since I've been retired. I think it'd be 27 years now that I have been away from football, but 17 years I've been retired. Or put it this way, 27 years of playing, but 17 years of being retired. But I'm still part of football. I'm part of the game. Love football. I'm an assistant to the principals at my high school in Cincinnati, and I'm also the head football coach. I have about 460 kids in my school. My football team, a varsity football team, has about 23 players on the team. Coaches, I know if you had 23 players on your team, you'd pull your hair out like I've done. It's tough. It's tough to coach 23 kids to play football when they started playing football at 14 years old. That's kind of tough. But see, I'm staying the course. I'm determined to turn that program around, and I'm determined to keep those kids on the straight and narrow path. You know, I say these things to you young men that are in here, and I'm pretty sure when Mr. Edwards gets up and talks a little bit about his story, pretty similar. You know, we've been there and we've done that. Like I said, didn't get a chance to play in the state championship in high school. I played in 3 bowl games in college. I played in 1 Super Bowl, and a lot of people don't get a chance to do that. But the one thing I remember is, in order for me to be a successful person, I got to do the work. I got to stay the course. I got to keep my mind on the prize. You always, in this life today, you have to do the necessaries to get it done. It's not going to come easy. Work is not easy. It takes a lot of things to do when you work, and football is work. You can't show up in July and think that you're going to be the best football player or the best person you're going to be. It starts with that. It starts now. In some schools, it probably started as soon as football was over with. Here's the thing. Be determined and never let anybody tell you can't do or achieve anything. Like I said, 6'3", 240 pounds playing safety. It was a little difficult for some people to see that. My defensive coordinator, who's now the defensive coordinator for a team that I just really don't like, I'm not a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. But Dick LeBeau was my defensive coordinator and my defensive back coach when I played for the Bengals. And I can remember one thing he used to say to me when I came in the league: I'm not here to weigh you, I'm here to play you. He said, as soon as you start eating yourself out of the league, or you're slower than you need to be and you can't make plays, that's when you and I will talk. If you continue to keep making plays, you'll be successful. So, but before I leave here, like I said, my foundation raises monies for those that are affected by MS, and I do have a few little toys that I brought from my foundation. You know, when people say you can't do things and you get a bobblehead made of yourself, you know, I think I kind of made it a little bit. So I do have some bobbleheads here that the proceeds benefit my foundation. They're $20. I will personalize any bobblehead to anybody that wants one at the end of the day. So I appreciate Walter Camp. And I'll tell you something about Walter Camp before I leave. You know, I was a consistent All-American in college. I made everybody's All-American team. I took those trips to Miami, to California, to New York. I was on a Bob Hope Christmas special when they used to have those things come out with Bob Hope. But I believe, and I'm not just saying it because I'm here, this is a family here. We're all part of the Walter Camp family. Even though you young high school guys are going to be going off to college, you are a Walter Camp family member. And this is the best family to be a part of. So if you got any questions about anything regarding Walter Camp, don't be afraid to ask the guys here, because we are one close-knit family and we get things done here. Thank you guys very much.
Great message, David. And Walter Camp is really a family, and you see David doing great work with his family as well, and it's gone beyond football, and as you heard, a lot of life lessons he learned through the game, getting knocked down, picking yourself back up, and I've heard many of your head coaches say the same thing. Now, if you have David playing in the secondary, Mr. Herm Edwards is also playing in the secondary as a D-back. For the older Giant fans, I'm sure you remember Herm Edwards, the Miracle in the Meadowlands. I'm not sure if he remembers that much at all. Then there's another crowd who probably remembers him as the Jets head coach. He's also the head coach with the Chiefs. and he talked about winning or something with the Jets that's become somewhat infamous or famous. How would you put it now, Coach?
It's the hello.
And now many of you will see him each and every day, it seems like, on ESPN showing off his socks. That's become a big thing up there. They like your socks up on that. I don't know what that's all about, but we won't make you show your socks here. But let's hear from Coach Edwards, who's very engaging on television, makes you want to listen, makes you want to pay attention, and got to talk to him for a little while. A terrific man, Herm Edwards.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here. Just a quick note on David. Fulcher, you know that I know you played wide receiver, but it's much more satisfying to hit those guys. So it ended up okay for us, right? You know, they get all the credit, but it is really fun to hit those guys. I would like to say this, first of all, to start off. I'd like to thank all the parents in the room, all the sacrifices that you give for your young man to play this great game of football. And I think you young players, before you go off to college, even while you're still in high school, you can't thank your parents enough for the sacrifices and what they have to go through so you can play this great game of football. You don't lose sight of that as you continue to grow and you get older and all of a sudden my mom and dad are supposed to do this. I don't know about they're supposed to do anything. What they do is they bring you into the world, and you can't choose your parents. But what you can do, you can choose to make sure that you represent them in the right way. And that's what's so great about football. When you think about a football player, it's kind of unique. You get a jersey and you acquire a helmet. Here's a helmet right here. Some of you guys have the jersey on. And at times I think you think it's your jersey. It's really not. It's rented. You rent that jersey when you start playing football. There's a number on the back of that jersey. Number belongs to you. It becomes your legacy as a young man, as a football player. And you're proud of that jersey. But that jersey will be given to someone else eventually. When the next athlete that takes that jersey and that number, the question you have to ask yourself, how did you make the game of football better? Not what football gave you, but what you're going to give back to football. Then there's the next part. Most of these uniforms at times, if you're going to high school, college, professional, has your name on the back of the jersey. Some don't. It's okay. You think that name represents you. It doesn't. It represents your mom and your dad, whoever provided for you. That's who the name represents. So for everything you do, you become a part of your family's name. It's called your legacy. It's very important you understand your legacy, because you, at some time, will get married. You'll hand your last name down to your children. Will you hand it to them in good standards? Will it be a name that they're proud of? Now there's the next thing. You have a helmet. That helmet represents the school, the college, or the professional football team that you play for. So your actions on the field represent two parties, your family's name and the organization that you play for. Don't take that lightly. It's very serious. It's interesting when we play this game of football. The joy of winning, of competition, we all get involved in that. We're excited about that. Have humility. I'll tell you about the road of humility. No traffic. You know, big traffic freeways, you see that one lane, the diamond lane they call it in California. In California, they cheat. They put dummies over there like you got 3 people in the car. You can run real fast. The road of humility, not a lot of traffic. I'll tell you again, not a lot of traffic on that road. See, athletics will humble you when you lose. But when you win, there's a lot of winners in this room. Make sure that you win with humility, because this football has a way of making everyone at one time or another eat some humble pie. You didn't do it by yourself. It's a team game. And maybe the best thing about football is this. There's a thing called the huddle. It's a wonderful thing, the huddle, because it breaks down all barriers in life. Social, economical, race, religion, size, doesn't matter. All those things don't affect us when we walk in the huddle. There's one guy, and he's going to give you direction. If it's a quarterback, he's going to give you a play. If it's the Mike linebacker, he's going to set the defense. And in that huddle, 11 guys come together, and they have one goal: success. If our country would get in a huddle and not worry about all these other things in life that we get hung up on, it's amazing how successful you can be. As you walk your life and you get out of football, don't forget the huddle. The huddle is very important. It teaches us all those things: discipline, trust, responsibility. These are life lessons. Use football as a life lesson. One day, as the young man said here, one day for me, for David Felcher, you won't play football again. Father Time has never lost the race. He'll come knocking on your shoulder pad, and he'll tell you, you know what? Time for you to give that jersey to somebody else. When your jersey is placed on another athlete at any level, when that athlete looks at your jersey, what will he say? Will he say you made a difference in the game of football? This morning's breakfast and tonight, it's about Walter Camp. Let me ask you this question. You think he made a difference in football? He left his mark. He is the man, in my opinion, the father of football. If he was alive today, he would be very proud of everyone sitting in this room. Coaches, I say this to you. Thank you. You are the foundation of football, high school coaches. You get these young men in a young age. I say this. You have an obligation. One of them is you teach them the game of football. But maybe the bigger obligation is this. When they played for you and they leave, have you made them better men? That's a bit of your obligation too. We know we have to teach them the game of football, but you have to make sure you made them better men for playing underneath, for playing for you. That's pretty important too. David said this, it's kind of unique. He said, finish. Don't let other people set your expectations. That's pretty important. And here's how it works. In this life, we have goals. We all have goals. But I tell you this, a goal without a plan is a wish. I'll say it again. A goal without a plan is a wish. A lot of you athletes in here, you want to go to college. What's the plan? What's your plan to go to college? You have a goal to go. What's the plan? Life is about planning. There's a game plan in football. Sometimes you have to adjust it. Maybe one of the unique things about football, I always say this, I like football players that like to deal with inconvenience. See, life's about inconvenience. That's what's so fantastic about football. Somewhere along the game, in that football game, you're going to get knocked down. You know, that little thing comes running out of your eye, and then you try to figure out, do I really like this football? It's called inconvenience. It's a good thing, because the people that can deal with inconvenience in this world are successful. You have a foundation of success. There's a reason that you sit in this room today as a team. Rightly so. It's deserved. You worked at it. Don't lose sight of this. Your life is not a dress rehearsal. It's not. Everyone gets the same amount of time every day. You have to choose what you do with your time. As we sit in this room, we have to understand this. We are all a collection of our choices. That's right. Every man and woman in this room are a collection of your choices. Make sure you do this in your life travels. You choose your friends. Don't let them choose you. When you're an athlete, you acquire many friends. Make sure you choose them. Make sure you set your own expectations. That's pretty important. But have a plan. It's not about the goal, it's about the plan. David Fulcher had a plan. He set his expectations. You all have enough ability to have success. Just make sure you have a plan so you can reach that. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Great job, Herm. I don't know about anyone else. I want to suit up and run through a wall for you right now. Tarek, you want to play for him? Kyle, you want to play for him? David? Let's go. I got 4 years of eligibility. and he mentioned the coaches, and I've had a good fortune to know all 4 head coaches here of the state championship teams, through the work that I do, and got to know them a little bit and talk to them, and 4 quality guys, and you can see why their teams are successes year in and year out. What I'm going to do real quickly now is I just want to mention each state championship team, have the members stand up, and everyone give them their due, and then we will eventually bring your coaches up here to talk a little bit more. But let's start in the double L division. And captains are coming up as well? Okay, captains will come up as well with the coaches to receive their awards. But let's start in the double L. Sean Marinan has been head coach at a school he played for and starred at over the years and has done a terrific job with that team. 3 state championships for the Xavier Falcons, and I don't know if it's going to stop. They have such a talented team. It's just a program that seems to be, I don't know, maybe they just like coming to this breakfast. I mean, 6 years, 3 state championships. Maybe that's the reason. But let's give it up for the Xavier Falcons right now. Guys, stand up. Where are you guys? Xavier here? Anybody? There you go, guys. All right, good work, guys. And I know Sean and Tom Brockett, Ansonia, Tom Dyer, Steve Filippone, Coach Edwards talking about making them better men, and watching what they say, watching the way they coach. They coach these guys the right way. And I know if I was a parent and I was sending my son to one of those schools, I'd feel pretty good handing them over, because each and every one of these coaches tell these kids what they need to hear, not always what they want to hear, and it's made them great young men. Every time I've gone out to do interviews, every player has been very polite, very, very cordial, and a pleasure to talk to. So Xavier's right up there, as is this next group, the Class L champions, who, like I said earlier, came one game. The senior class came one game away from having 3 straight undefeated seasons. They now have 11 state championships, which is second in the state. Steve Filippone has been at this for a while, the second coach in hand history there after Larry Ciotti took over that program and has continued to grow it. Let's hear it for Steve Filippone and his champions from Class L, the Hand Tigers of Madison. Hey, guys. Don't be shy. Great work, gentlemen. In Class M, we've had Tom Dyer at work there for 6 years, taking a program and being a great role model for his men over there as well. Multiple athletes, a lot of speed on that team, and he got them back to a state championship game this year, and they closed out the deal. 2 years ago they won another one, and they're in line to make a run at a third title in 4 years. Tom has done a terrific job over there, a good friend as well, and I like his Hill House academics to stand up and get their due as well. Come on, guys. That's right. Mr. Bill O'Brien, former president of the SCC, is, I'm sure, very proud of what has happened here. There's 3 champions from the Southern Connecticut Conference this year in Xavier, Hand, and in Hill House. And as Mr. O'Brien just pointed out, their only losses this year, Hill House, were to Xavier and Hand. So you guys want to maybe play a flag game afterwards, try to get some revenge or something? You guys up for it? All right. How about Xavier, Hand? You guys up for it? No? Tim? You good? All right, great job there, guys. And now we get to the Class S champions. We used to have 6 state champions in this state. It's been pared down to 4. It's been nice because I think more teams get a chance to get into the playoffs, get a chance to make a run at a state championship. It also makes it more difficult for these teams to win the state title. Year in and year out, I mean, I don't know if, I guess any of these schools, if someone said who's the premier high school football program, what's the team that would pop up? And it could be Xavier, could be Hand. Hill House is making their run at it. But Ansonia is going to come up year in and year out. No one has more state championships than they do. They won their 18th this year. They're coming off another undefeated season. They're on a win streak of 28 games in a row. They have a lot of talent coming back next year. Tom Brockett has done a fantastic job. I was looking at numbers. I think he's 85-8 since taking over like 6 or 7 years ago, with what, 4 state titles? Tom, I don't know if you're out there, but he's done a fantastic job taking over for the late great Jack Hunt. Let's hear it for the Ansonia Chargers, guys. Good work, gentlemen. All right, let's bring up the head coaches from each team. We'll start in the Class Double L. Sean Meriden, as I mentioned, has been doing it for years and does it the right way. Let's bring up Sean and his team captains to accept their award. You gonna do it by yourself, Tim? There's Coach. You weren't in the diamond lane, huh?
There's no looking cap.
Now we're going to bring Sean up to say a word or two about his team and what they've been able to accomplish.
Thanks, John. Thanks to everybody here at Walter Camp, Kevin Digby for getting us all here once again this year. It's great to be back, and this doesn't get old, in case anybody's wondering, being up here. 3 times in a row. I never would have expected that 2 years ago or 3 years ago. It's been a great ride, and it wouldn't be possible without the tremendous amount of time and effort that our coaches put in and our players. And there are a lot of guys are here today. The amount of hard work and dedication is exhibited by the success. And a lot of the things that Mr. Edwards and Mr. Fulcher said today have been exhibited on a daily basis by our players, and I'm very grateful for that. And I hope we can keep it rolling, and I hope to be back here again next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sean. It's funny, we were up at Xavier a couple of years ago doing a story with Sean, and the kids, one thing you like about the coaches, they can dish it out, but they can take it too. His players were getting on him of the outfit, and he didn't care. He stayed true to the high sweatpants, the high socks, the hat. He gets made fun of all the time. He's a good sport, and a great coach, and a great guy. Anyway, let's move on to Class L. It's a repeat. Hand of Madison, Steve Filippone, as I mentioned, has been on the job for quite a while now, and that's a program that starts at such a young age. There's kids in Madison that want to be hand tigers, like a lot of these programs. They grow up wanting to be there, and it starts in a system. And by the time they get to high school, they're ready to go, they're ready to compete, and they have that state championship, I think, blood in them already. Steve told me an interesting fact about his team this year. He's been at it for whatever. I was good at math when I was in high school. I'm not so good anymore. But since '89, but he had his first Division I player moving on this year after all the success he's had. So he's built the real team with individuals and done a great job. Matt Walsh will be moving on to UConn, and that's Steve's first Division I player in that amount of time. So that says a lot to the whole community and what they've done to rally behind the football and to make that grow. So let's bring up Steve Filippone and his captains from the champions of L and Madison.
John Marks, get in there next to the slide right in the middle. He's the president, not the president. All right, thanks.
Thanks, guys. First of all, I'd like to thank Walter Camp and the good folks there who do so much for high school football. Couple of things real quick. Number one, that Sandlot game, we're not taking it. To be able to get through what our kids did this year playing
the kind of competition they did and having to rise every week and win games against the very best football teams in Connecticut, as is evidenced by the fact that 2 of the state champions we were fortunate to beat during the course of the season, and then of course to win one ourselves. So, and then Ansonia is a magnificent football team who, as I've said many times, just to be mentioned in the same sentence as those guys for us is quite an honor. But and the other thing, I just quickly editorialize a little bit. Coach Edwards, there's got to be a place in the NFL for a guy like you if you're still interested.
No, I'm not interested. You got the best job in America.
You got the best job. Well, maybe you could run for office too. That might be the other thing. I got a feeling you'd be awfully good at that too. But we're very, very honored. We've got great coaches. I'm fortunate to have, I think, arguably one of the finest coaching staffs in the state of Connecticut. You know, I've been around a long time, and this is absolutely the best group of guys I've ever assembled to work with. And our 29 seniors have been the core of 3 great years of football, and we'd be very sad to see them move on. But we'll continue to work hard, and hopefully maybe next year or somewhere else down the line we'll be able to get back here again. But it's a great honor to be a football coach in the state of Connecticut, especially in the SEC. So congratulations to everybody, and thanks again to Walter Camp.
Thank you, Steve. All right, we're going to move on to Class M. I've talked a bit about them already. Tom Dyer and his academics of Hill House presented lots of problems for lots of opponents this year with that speed from Harold Cooper and Andre Anderson on the backfield. Javon Moore could do it. Their team really, I don't think anyone wanted to play, and it showed in the end when they won another state championship, and I don't think they're done winning titles. Let's bring up Tom Dyer and his captains from this year's Class M champions, the Hill House Academics.
Let's get a picture of the 2 of you.
Whatever you want to do, man.
That's fine. Okay, just smile. Okay, stop moving and smile. Perfect.
Hold it. Oh, get in trouble. Bill, you're always getting in trouble with the camera, Bill.
That's right. You'll give me that picture.
Thank you, guys.
First off, I'd really like to thank the Walter Camp Committee and a wonderful breakfast that they're putting on. I don't know too many states that are doing anything better than this. I was born and raised in New Jersey, and when I came up here, Connecticut really, football, they said it wasn't that big and whatnot, but it's evident that football is very serious here. People are very committed to it, and as you can see by the great players that we have in the room, as well as the coaching that's taken place all year, it's just been a tremendous opportunity to be here today. I'm real happy for my seniors, especially. We've had a lot of ups and downs at Hill House High School over the last 4 years. Finally, we're getting a new football field. So everybody, you don't have to come anymore Friday, 3:30 and play us. I'm sure some people would be very excited about that. But I'm not too excited about it. I'd love it. But again, I'd like to thank my seniors and especially also my coaching staff because obviously without their dedication and hard work, we wouldn't have played any postseason games. But thanks a lot.
All right, thank you, Tom. And that is long overdue. Hill House getting some great facilities to showcase their talent on in the coming years. We move on now to the Class S. As Coach Philippone said, being mentioned in the same breath as Ansonia, it's a tradition. The same thing as Hand of Madison and all these programs. The kids grow up wanting to be Chargers, wanting to play high school football in the Valley, and it's always hard-hitting football. And every year at the end, the Ansonia Chargers are there. They've been there at the end when Jack Hunt was there. Tom Brockett has come in and taken that thing and continued on the tradition and continues to win with the Chargers. So many talented players there, lots of speed. The offensive line, I know Arkell gets a lot of recognition, Newsome out of the backfield, but I'm sure he'd be the first guy to point out that it starts up front with the big guys knocking their heads on every single play. So let's bring up Tom Brockett and his captains from this year's Class S champions, the Ansonia Chargers.
Just slide all the way down. And have Coach one people in the middle next to John. Squish in, guys. Squish in. Squish. Perfect. Everyone look at him first. Great, right here. One more.
It's got a lot. That's what I'm talking about. I love it, guys. Oh, yes, one more. That's what I'm talking about. Yes. Who's us? Well done. Thank you.
Good work.
All right, thank you. It's great to be here. Special thanks to John Marks and everybody at Walter Camp, and especially to the guys, Kevin Digby, Don Crouch, James Thompson, their whole group. A couple of years ago, Digby had said to me, we're going to start a small little breakfast and try to honor everybody. And it's amazing what you guys turned this into. So thank you for including the high school teams in this very special weekend. And other thing too, George, that was the first time I heard that story. Truly, truly inspirational. There's so many great young men out there, and Coach Edwards had mentioned how we need leadership in the world, and guys like that, that's what we need. That was awesome. In Ansonia this year, it was a tough year off the field, and usually when you say that and you're a high school coach, that translates onto the field. And the reason it was tough was a lot of things out of our kids' hands. It wasn't suspensions or any of the negative stuff you hear. It really started with us losing 3 two-way players for the entire year. One was a captain who would have been an all-state player who never even had a chance to play in a game. And it's tough when you're a high school coach and you see those kids working in the weight room, going to camps. I talked about it. As sophomores, our seniors, we almost lost 4 of our first 6, and things could have got ugly there, especially in Ansonia real quick. And they turned on to end up going, I don't know what it was, almost 40-2 or whatever that was, but winning 28 straight. So to you guys, hats off. To the other state champions in the room, some unbelievable programs led by great men. So congratulations to all of them. And those all-staters that are sitting in here, I was part of that committee that picked you. There were some real good high school football players left off. So to every one of you guys is very well deserved. The things that were said about you guys that night was outstanding. So congratulations to you guys and thank you again.
Tommy. Sean on this side. Sure, put me next to Dyer.
You guys all take one step down this way.
Squish, guys,
There
squish.
you go. Perfect.
All right, congratulations, coaches. Don't get too comfortable because you'll be making your way back up here in a minute. It's time for us to present the Coach of the Year. Finalists are Tom Brockett, Tom Dyer, Steve Filippone, And just because, I'm going to write Sean Marinen's name in here. He's not on the list, but why not, you know? But you know, all four guys. I mean, I don't envy the committee who had to choose this as well. You know, as Tom said, it was really tough leaving some players off the Connecticut team, and this is the same thing here. Picking a winner, you really can't go wrong with who you pick. Now, someone who's been involved in this breakfast along the way since the get-go has been Stadium System, a big sponsor of the event. And to help bring in the this year's Coach of the Year, I'd like to introduce Ed Shop, who has been a big player in helping high schools up and down the Northeast, whether it's equipment. It seems like they do it all at his business here in Connecticut. So please welcome Ed Shop.
We have been here since the beginning. First, I want to invite our three finalists up, all great men. Tom Brockett from Ansonia, Tom Dyer from Hill House, and Steve Philippone from Hand. If you guys could come up now, that would be great. You know, 6 years went by quick, and I'm going to be quick because we, Stadium System, appreciate what Walter Camp is doing. We've attended this function now since its inception, and when asked, you know, I think James Thompson was kind of wondering what honors would be bestowed. Obviously, Coach of the Year was one of them, and we decided to select that because, you know, just briefly talk about humble. My grandfather started this business in 1948 in his barn in Sheffield, Mass., which is a couple miles away from Canaan, Connecticut, and started out with 2 schools that he did business with, and today we do business with over 2,000 schools. But our business is successful because of coaches, and that's where our roots are. So we were, you know, quick to jump on the coaching award because it made a lot of sense. And my recommendation to the coaches would be to renegotiate that you actually want the minimum wage as your coaching salary, because if you did the math, they would do quite well. Coaches dedicate themselves to this sport, and we see them because we show up at odd hours. Tom Dyer, I think 6:30. Tom, 6:30 to meet me to pick up all this dirty football equipment after 3 weeks, you know, the season was over. But these guys are in at every level. So. Whether they're talking to parents, talking to principals, superintendents, their kids, their youth organizations, they're everywhere. So these three guys, you know, represent a much larger group, and I know how much they've grown their organizations with the assistant coaches. I mean, you know, not too long ago there weren't lots of assistant coaches, but now. They've gotten smarter. They've got more people involved, and they're really growing these programs. They're more than just football teams. They represent communities, schools, and it's amazing to see what's happened really over, you know, the last 20 years in particular, to see how powerful these programs have come in their communities. These three guys, you know, obviously represent the best, and this year's one, no one has given, John, I don't have an envelope here, John.
Right there, right next to you.
Where is it?
Right next to you, right.
I think that all three of them are winners, but.
There you go, sir.
But unfortunately, one coach has to be selected as the final winner of Coach of the Year. And we're proud to sponsor this event. And this year, Steve Philippone has been selected as Coach of the Year. And Tom Dyer from Hill House. We have co-coaches of the year. It's a tie. It's a tie. They're arguing over who should go first. This is the first tie. That was a curveball. You should have called me.
This is a vote.
Okay.
All the head coaches in the state, they vote for this. So.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you. Wow, I really don't know what to say, except that there's probably some kind of Jersey conspiracy here because I'm from New Jersey too. But wow, to be honored by you know, and to be considered even
for this award is extraordinary because it requires so many different things. It requires, number one, that you be part of a family, your own family, that is totally selfless, that says, you know, I don't care if you spend time away from our kids. Basically, we're talking about our wives who say, I don't care if you spend time away from your kids. I don't care how much time you invest in other people's kids. I don't care how miserable you are most of the time. But that they recognize that we're doing something that we love and that's good for our communities and for our football teams. And the other thing it does is it allows us to be part of a game that's so much bigger than most anything else that happens to kids in our communities. Football is a game that teaches everything that you need to know about living. And it teaches it in a way that you can't get anywhere else. It's just an extraordinary activity for kids, young men to take part in. It is being threatened a little bit. All you moms out there, talk to all, you've got football players. Go home today, call 3 or 4 moms who have young kids and say, I was at a great event today, and they talked about football, and they talked about great players and coaches and great former NFL players and NFL coaches who spoke and say, man, you need to get your young guys involved with this game because it's going to make a difference in their lives. That's what it's about. You know, that's what the game of football is about. So to be honored by this organization and by the coaches is tremendous. I couldn't be more honored than to stand up here with both of these guys. They're tremendous young coaches. This guy's kind of on the end of it. When sports writers tell you, they go, geez, he's been around a long time. That's how you know it's probably time to get out. But these guys are on at the beginning of it. They're going to be the future. These are the future these guys are the future of high school football in Connecticut, not only on the field, but in terms of being involved in state organizations and keeping the game where it needs to be. So it's a tremendous honor. Congratulations to both of you guys. You're champs all the way. Thank you.
I'm very fortunate to really do something that I love. I think a lot of people go to work every day, and sometimes you're banging your head against the wall. It's Monday. I occasionally will do that too, but I do love the fact that I have the ability to work with kids day in and day out. I respect my role, and I love my role to be a figure or a role model for my players or students. And I take that job very seriously. I'm very fortunate to have 14 young men, seniors with me today that'll be graduating and going to college next year. I'm very proud of you guys and the accomplishments, not just the winning of the football games, but the maturation of becoming, coming in as a boy and leaving as a young man. Those are things that make myself, and I know most of the coaches in the room, that's what really makes us most happy as coaches when we see guys come back and they're successful, either fathers, citizens, successful businessmen and family men. I know that is kind of what we look at, and that's when we know we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. I'd like to really thank my coaching staff, Coach Lytle, Coach Doug Simonis, Coach Bond, Coach Marks, Coach Brown, and Coach Volker. This really is a group award. It's not a coach of the year. It should be a coaching staff award. I wouldn't not be able to be up here if I didn't have their support. I'd also like to thank my athletic director, Mr. Canzanella, for his support because frankly, I wouldn't be up here if he didn't give me a chance as a 27-year-old. When I was an assistant coach for a few years, he saw something in me and believed in me that I was going to be able to get the job done and be able to take the program to new heights. Lastly, the thing about me and people that have heard me speak before, I always talk about my family. I am single, not married, but if you need to give me a call, it's 203. No.
wait to tell stocks.
No, but something that's very important to me is my family. My family is my rock. I'm fortunate that I have a mother that still sometimes treats me like I'm 15 and will scold me and yell at me after one of my games, like, I can't believe you're yelling at your player like that or something like that, and keeps me grounded. But she drives all the way up from South Jersey for all my games, and then gets in the car after the game and drives back home. For years she's ran the concession stand. She drove up Bowen Field, running concession stand for years, gets in the car and drives back. I think, I try to be to my players what my mother is to me, a great role model, a great person, and somebody that, I aspire to be. Thanks, Mom. I love you, and I appreciate everything you've done for me. And I appreciate my sister and the rest of my family taking time out to come today. Really means a lot for you guys to be here. And congratulations to all the players in the room, the Connecticut All-State team, as well as all the seniors here that are celebrating their championships. Thank you very much.
Oh yeah, I mentioned it earlier. I could do it again.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, I must have been taking.
Yeah, you were taking pictures when I was on. I'll make another announcement at the end. If you want to do it, though, I'll bring you up. You sure? Good job, Tom, making your mom cry. Good work. It's as a parent, I could understand why his mom does that. Your kids are always your babies, and I know you players may not want to hear it, but look at this, beautiful right there. And Coach Edwards touched on it, said, players, thank your parents and your family members who have been there. And it's great to have coaches like this, positive male role models in the lives of young men trying to find their way through life. And great job again, everybody. And continue the great work with the young men at your schools. And I know there's other coaches here. I see Craig Bruno from Bunnell does the same thing, Ed McCarthy from West Haven. So they don't earn a lot of money to do it. They do it because they love it. They do it for the kids' interest. So congratulations, coaches. It is now the time for the Player of the Year. Wow, and I got to bring coaches back up again. So you guys are getting a workout, huh? That 3 a.m. bedtime last night, Mr. Dyer. I hope you got a little sleep. Was that the fire alarm at the hotel? I heard the fire alarm went off at the hotel. A lot of these people have been up. Okay. Want to keep you on your toes there, Mr. Edwards. Okay, so let's see. Players of the Year. Now we have two gentlemen who you will enjoy watching play on the Division I level in the coming years who are nominated for the Player of the Year. One of them is sitting right over here, one of the leaders of the Xavier High state champs the last 3 years, Tim Boyle. He's quarterback, so Tim is in the running. Let's hear it for Tim. Tim, come on up. Tim has made a commitment to Boston College, and we look forward to seeing him chucking balls around the ACC in years to come. He's a good one. Seen him play a bunch of times, and look at him. he's the perfect quarterback, right? Sean, head coach of Xavier, will come up as well. Each coach is going to say a word or two about their players. So, Sean, let's make your way back up here as well. Did they sit you way in the back? Is that you way back there? Okay. He's coming from West Haven. He'll be here in a minute. Let's introduce the next player. It's nice. We have a variety of players here. We have Tim Boyle, the quarterback. We have Arkell Newsom, the running back. Arkell is, he's got another year to go, just a junior. Division I recruiters must be beating his door down. You must be getting a lot of emails and junk mail and whatnot. This guy is going to be, when all said and done, possibly the best running back this state has ever seen. So Arkell Newsom is here. His coach, Tom Brockett, right behind. And then we have a young man from Hand of Madison. He's been the leader of the Tigers, and went out and did a story with him earlier in the year, and he play quiet guy on camera, but his teammates say he gets that Ray Lewis mentality, and that's one of the guys he looks up to and likes to fire his team up. Matt Walsh is a linebacker and also a fullback for the team, so he is in the running as well. I'd like to bring Matt up and his coach, Steve Philippone, for the announcement of the Player of the Year.
We're going to have the coach.
Yeah, coach. All right, now it's going to have each guy, coach, say a word or two about the player, and it's been all positive for 4 years, right, guys? You've heard nothing but good things?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. We're going to start with Sean Marinan, who obviously has had a lot of success there, and part of the reason is great players year in and year out, and I know Tim Boyle certainly is one of those guys. So, Sean, you could do it more justice. Come on up.
Thanks again, John. It's going to be very sad to see Tim leave after this season. He's been the cornerstone of our team for 3 years. He came in as a very talented freshman, but contributed immediately as a sophomore. We ran 2 quarterbacks for 2 years, and everybody said, well, you know, who's a starter? And my response always was, and it's a fact, we had 2 starting quarterbacks for those 2 years. Going into this season I think we won 26 games in a row at the beginning of the year and 2 state championships. The target on our back was pretty big, and the leadership responsibility really fell to Tim, and he picked it up in the spring of his junior year after our 2011 state championship, and put it on his shoulders and carried it all the way through. And he did a tremendous job in the off season, inspiring and motivating our players. Probably the most important thing is, as any coach here will agree, is, you know, he led by example. He was the guy always there in the weight room, outside. That carried right on through to the season, and he put up some, you know, terrific numbers, which everybody knew he was capable of doing. I don't have all of them off the top of my head. I can tell you he threw for a little more than 2,000 yards. Is that correct? Contributed 29 touchdowns, 17 through the air and 12 on the ground. And our offense, if you know, a few of you guys know a little bit about it, doesn't work if the quarterback's not a viable running threat. And obviously, if you're going to run the ball, you're going to have to take some punishment, especially with the teams that we play in the SEC week in and week out. And he's really matured as a young man. You know, and I asked myself this year, when you're looking at awards and things, you know, who's the player that you can't do without? Who's the player that if you take him out of the mix, you're a completely different team? And for us this year, it was Tim Boyle. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. We'll now ask Tom Brockett to come up and say a word or two. And one thing, you know, you talk about Ansonia and the winning. I think the next thing, if you ask what about Ansonia football, it seems like the next great running back. Although they're not going to have a better one than this guy or this guy. And every year another great running back comes out, and the latest great running back, and possibly, well, I guess the best in school history to this point, is Arkell Newsome. He's up here, and Tom Brockett could tell you a lot more.
Thank you. Coach Edwards talked about how quickly this game humbles you. It took me all of getting back to that table before the guy said, congratulations, would you vote for yourself? That was the third place vote. And why don't we mark that certificate? You got up with a big L, so you get humbled quick in this game. One thing I would say, though, about that nomination for Coach of the Year, you need a couple things, and it's great players, which we're very fortunate to have. You need to work with great guys, which we got the best. And you need to really learn from somebody. And for me, it was the next recipient, Coach Hunt. So I do want to make that known. I learned so many things from him. And I think the most important message I'd really take, if I took everything, was his love for his family and his marriage with Denise. It's something that I've envied and tried to continue with my wife, because I've heard how many times he's talked about you, and I wanted to make sure you knew that, Denise. As far as Arkell Newsome, you know, there's been so many great backs in the state. There's been so many great backs in Ansonia, and you know, it gets hard. You know, you speak about him so often. People keep asking what makes you so special. What makes him so special? he does what 99.9% of America can't do. He's got an amazing skill set, and we're fortunate because we had another kid, Andrew Matos, who could very easily be standing up here. And when you have kids like that, they make you look real good as a coach. They make you successful. And Arkell, you know, he's probably the only player that's been up to this podium twice, even being nominated, and he's only a junior. So the one positive I have for me over these two guys, at least mine's coming back. And he's, you know, I think what he did as a sophomore made his junior year so tough. You know, he shattered the touchdown record as a junior, and it kind of almost went unnoticed just because of what he did as a junior. I mean, as a sophomore. And, you know, obviously all the Division I schools are all over him, and they should be, because the kid's going to make somebody very, very happy. But we're fortunate we got him for one more year, and we're going to enjoy him. All right, congratulations to Tim, all right, and congratulations to Matt, both of them very deserving of the award.
Thank you, Tom. Our next candidate for Player of the Year is Matt Walsh, and I mentioned before, Steve Filippone. And I was a kid when you started coaching, so yeah, you talk about those sports writers. And, but I'm old now, too, because these guys weren't even born when I graduated from high school, so I'm catching up to you there, Coach. But Coach Filippone has done a wonderful job, and Matt is his first Division I prospect, guy to go on to play Division I. He sent so many guys to different colleges along the way, and all these coaches have made them better men. Matt has had a terrific year, had most of his success at linebacker throughout the year, but when he got the ball from the fullback position, I don't think anyone wanted to go helmet to helmet with him. He is going to move on and play next year at UConn, and I'll let Steve tell you more about what kind of young man he is. Steve?
Thank you. Thank you. All these players are tremendous. You know, we of course had a chance to play against Tim, and he torched us pretty good, and we had a chance to compete against Arkell in camp, and it was just an amazing thing to watch. So, but the young man I get to talk about has been the core, the glue that's held our team together for what seems like a long, long time. Matt began playing football for us as a sophomore, started for us as a sophomore, and since Matt's been on the football field for us, we're 36-2, and he's been a huge part of that. Matt's got a tremendous work ethic. He's always the last one out of the weight room. He's a guy who he comes up with all kinds of crazy things to do. He's got ropes and bags and all kinds of paraphernalia hanging off him all the time, trying to get himself a little bit quicker, a little bit stronger. I'll tell you a quick story about Matt that I think really embodies him, though. We were playing Massac in the semifinal this year, and on the kickoff, Matt broke his chin strap. We were kicking off. This might tell you a couple things about Matt, actually, as I tell the story. He ran down on the kickoff, he made a hit, snapped his chin strap. So Massac is a no-huddle team. They were quick out on the field. They're getting ready to snap the ball, and Matt's playing inside linebacker for us with no chin strap. So, of course, what happens? They run isolation. They lead a big fullback right up at him. He fills. His helmet flies about 10 feet in the air, and he is bleeding so heavily that the officials stopped the game, make him stop where he is, and they had to come out and clean up the field. He walked off the field. Now, I'm going to tell you this. In this day and age, there are not a handful of guys, even most guys in this room, and I wouldn't blame you if you didn't go back on the field. But there aren't a handful of guys who would have went back on the field. He had injuries that I think took 30-plus stitches in his face. His nose was broken. Our trainer, to her credit, patched him up. I don't know how she did it. She was using everything that we could find in the kit, you know, sprays, tapes, glue, you name it. She got him put back together again, and 4 plays later, he was back on the field, played every single snap of that game, went and got his stitches, Doctors, of course, told him you can't play for like 10 days. Well, we had a state championship game in 6 days, and the story doesn't end there. He played a tremendous game in the state championship for us, and and it's a credit to his family too. They're a football family. There's not many moms and dads that would have let their kid continue in that situation either. And I give them a lot of credit because they've raised a tremendous, tremendous son. Yeah, Matt is the only Division I football player I have ever coached, and we've won a lot of football games. But we're very proud of him. I'm very thankful to the people at UConn that he's going to be playing for great men in Paul Pasqualoni, George DeLeon, guys who I've known my whole life. He's going to be a great, great player for them, and we're very proud of Matt Walsh.
Thank you, Steve. Another tough choice. And Matt said that he grew up, anyone who knows UConn football, his favorite players were Scott Lutris and Anthony Sherman, two guys to definitely model himself after as he makes his way up to the Huskies. I guess it's my honor to announce the winner. There's, they all deserve it, to be quite honest with you. But it's going to go to a gentleman who will have a chance to be a repeat winner, Arkell Newsom of Ansonia. I'm going to let Arkell say a few words now. Arkell, we've had a chance to talk to him over the years. He's a wonderful young man. And Coach Edwards mentioned earlier about humility and staying humble. All three of these guys, just having dealt with them, I could see they have it. And Arkell is certainly a guy with all the success he's had, hasn't let any of it go to his head. So hear it again for Arkell Newsom.
Good morning, everyone. It's an honor to be here and to be selected for the Walter Camp Award. I feel truly blessed to have this opportunity to do what I love to do, and that's play football. First off, I would like to thank God. Without this wouldn't be possible. And I'd like to thank my friends and family for the support, and also IAP and the coaching staff. All right, thank you.
Get your stuff. Can you get your stuff?
Yep. Okay, yep. I'll tell you. I'll bring it. Great work, guys. And I know from this point, I'm not supposed to root. I'm in the media, that whole thing, blah, blah. But I root, and I root for, I want everyone to do well. I'm from Connecticut, and I love seeing guys not only go on to be great athletes in Division I, just go on to be good people. But when these young men go on and play at Division I, and we get a chance to watch them on TV, they really represent our state, and I think they've done a great job. And with the growth of high school football here, we're turning out more top prospects. And, it's been a joy. I'm not the only one I know that feels that way. And I can't wait to see, Tim playing at the next level, Matt playing at the next level, one day Arkell, Harold Cooper. I mean, the list goes on and on. There's other guys from the Connecticut team who will be playing as well. So great job, guys, and continued success, not only in football but in life the rest of the way. Now, before we move on, the last couple of orders of business, I'd like to bring up Bill O'Brien, past president of the Walter Camp Football Foundation. He's also former president of the Southern Connecticut Conference. He's beaming with pride. He's going to talk a little bit about the Hall of Fame game, which I mentioned earlier. Bill?
Thank you, John. I know John had a chance to mention before, I guess I was in the back taking some pictures, but for those that are interested, quickly, the Connecticut-Rhode Island game is not going to be in operation anymore, and nor is the Fairfield-New Haven game. We think, and we saw it today, there's enough talent in this room in the state of Connecticut to put on an incredible all-star football game. So we're going to spend a few minutes after this is over for anybody that's interested. There's some media people here, some coaches might be interested, some players might be interested in knowing how the process is going to work in terms of trying out and how the system's going to work this summer. The game's the end of June. And if you'd like to stay after this breakfast is over, we hope to do this at about 15 minutes after so that everybody can get on the road again. But I'd encourage you to stay because I think we're about to have one of the most exciting All-Star games in history in the state of Connecticut. So thank you for your attention. I hope to see you later.
Thank you, Bill. Last order of business is the Lifetime Achievement Award. We mentioned Jack Hunt a couple times throughout the breakfast this morning. Real quickly, I can remember starting as an intern at Channel 8, and one of the things I had to do was go out and interview certain people, players, coaches along the way. And I saw Jack Hunt when I was in high school, intimidating, big kind of guy. To be honest with you, I had to go out there and do the interview with him, and I had my knees knocking, and I was ready to make a break for the men's room because I was scared to talk to Jack Hunt because he was this imposing figure. But once I got to talk to him, what a nice guy, and what a down-to-earth guy, and a nice relationship developed. We'd like to bring up James Thompson, who is going to present the award on behalf of Jack Hunt. James.
Thank you, John. I'd like to just quickly start by acknowledging the high school committee, because a lot of these guys hate being mentioned. They don't like taking pictures, and it's my job to bring some light to the great group that we have. But the Walter Camp Football Foundation took a chance on the high school committee about 6 years ago to let us start this event. And it happens to be one of the best decisions I think they've made. And talk about being humbled. I'm humbled to have that opportunity because before then we had some clunkers. But you got to take a few shots at the end zone to get it right. And they allowed us to do that. So I would like to really thank my co-chairman of the high school committee, Kevin Digby. Here's a guy who hates being up here, but every single little detail about this event, he's been losing sleep over for the last 2 months. And he's got a young boy at home and a sick wife, and he rang the bell and he's here today. So I'd like to thank him personally. I'd like to thank Don Crouch, Brian Crouch. I'd like to thank Tim O'Brien. And I would also like to thank, transitioning over to NFP Sports, those that are representing our company here, franchisee Matt Ross, Brian Ludwig, Don Crouch, Kevin Digby. The Lifetime Achievement Award is something that is extremely humbling to be a part of and to sponsor. When we started this event, we decided that we wanted the breakfast to be something a little bit different than just another awards program. We wanted to celebrate the game in a way that has not been celebrated in the state before. So we thought there's so many people that dedicate their lives to this, and Ed Shop talked about, they had a choice to sponsor a certain award, and they chose the Coaches Award. And I could just tell you that my company, without telling you what we do, is made possible because we get to work with great men that are great leaders in locker rooms, classrooms, all throughout the Northeast. And without these guys, we wouldn't have a company, we wouldn't have a livelihood, and I just appreciate them. When it comes to achieving success and having a legacy, it's hard for anyone nowadays to really fathom it, because coaches nowadays on every level, they're not only judged by a season, they're judged by a game. And have somebody have a body of work over a lifetime that stands out above all else, it's amazing. And to just go out and do the same thing every day and execute and give as much as you gave the first day you started, it's humbling for us to celebrate that award. Unfortunately, I didn't have a chance to get to know Coach Hunt all that well. And so I'm going to bring his brother-in-law, Kevin Raleigh, up to say a few words, if you wouldn't mind coming on up.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. I'd like to, first of all, thank the Walter Camp Foundation for this wonderful event that they sponsor here for the high school football players of the state of Connecticut. It's a great, great, great event. I have some cue cards here. Don't get scared. It's not going to be that long of a thing. It's just to help me around through this. I also like to recognize the honored guests, this year's All-Americans, and Walter Camp alumni. I also like to congratulate the state champions, Hill House Academics, the Xavier Falcons, the Ansonia Chargers, and the Han Tigers. You know, Mr. O'Brien, again, you can be very, very proud, New Haven County, all 4 teams. To the members of the Connecticut All-State team, the Walter Camp All-State team, congratulations. To the 2 coaches that won the Coach of the Year award, job well done. And to Arkell, good job. Can't wait for next year to start. About Jack Hunt, the coach. Jack was born and raised and lived in Ansonia his whole life. He attended Ansonia High School, graduating from Ansonia High School in 1965, and was also a proud alum of Pine High School. Pine boys are fine boys. Jack played football for the father of Ansonia football, the late Charles Boots Jarvis. He was a captain of the team in his senior year. Jack also played basketball and track at AHS. Jack went on to continue his education and football career at Wichita State University, graduating in 1971. He then came back home. Jack began his career at Ansonia as the truant officer in 1972. Also that year, Jack began his storied coaching career. Coach McAllister hired Jack, along with John Sponheimer, the Honorable Mayor James Delavolpe, and Bobby Lisi, and the 4 of them, along with Coach Mack, helped to bring Ansonia football back to the front. Jack stepped away from coaching football in 1986 so he could follow his son John, continue his football career at the U, the University of Miami. Unfortunately that year, Ansonia suffered its first losing season since 1969. Jack, through the pressure of many in town, was asked to come back and be the head coach. Jack, the head coach. First thing Jack did was to assemble his staff. Of course, Spoonie, Dell, and Bobby all came back, along with Earl Stanley, Steve Pepler, the Reverend Don Bradley, and myself. It didn't take Jack long to make his stamp in Ansonia football history. We played Shelton the second game of the year, and it's a hard-fought game. It came down to the end of whether we play for the 7-7 tie or go for the victory. Jack said, we don't play for ties here in Ansonia. Thanksgiving Day. It's been well documented that our Thanksgiving Day rivalry with Naugatuck is just a great, great game. Jack owned that day. Jack went 17-2 in 19 years as the head coach of Ansonia High School on Thanksgiving Day. And by coincidence, we lost Jack on Thanksgiving Day this past year, which forever make that game that much more important. His overall record of 193-26 will be hard to be surpassed. During his career, he coached 18 All-Staters, 2 state MVPs. He retired after 19 years after the 2005 season. Jack also coached girls softball, track, freshman basketball, and golf during his career at Ansonia. Jack, the family man. Besides being a coach, Jack was a devoted and loving man. He was the husband to my sister Denise, the father to Daddy's little girl Lori and her husband Michael, to his son John and his wife Michelle, and to Joseph and Jeffrey. He was grandfather to Jordan, Jessica, Jalen, Mallory, Michael, and Jackson. He was the beloved son of Phyllis and the late John J. Hunt, and the brother to Joanne and Bobby Hunt. Joanne Davis and Bobby Hunt, excuse me. He was also an uncle, a great uncle, a nephew, a son-in-law, and a brother-in-law. And he was also the owner of Riley Jane, his canine companion. Jack enjoyed, I think most of all in his coaching, was being able to have the chance to coach with John at the football level at AHS and to coach basketball and golf with Joe. For that, was his fond, I believe, as his brother-in-law talking to him, was one of his greatest joys. He also enjoyed the Cape, South Carolina, as places to go on vacation. He also loved Whitney Farms Golf Course. Jack, we love you and we miss you, and I'll be forever indebted to you for everything you did for me, but more especially for what you did for my sister. You respected her and loved her. God bless you. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to bring up Lori Shortle, John Hunt, Joseph Hunt, and Jeffrey Hunt. Jack's 4 children.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, and good morning. This is Lori Hunt Shortell, Jeff Hunt, Joe Hunt, and I am John Hunt. We are Jack's children. On behalf of our father, Coach Jack Hunt, we would like to thank the Walter Camp Foundation and the folks at NFP Sports for this prestigious award. We would also like to congratulate all the players and the coaches of the state championship teams and the all-state team for Walter Camp Foundation and other award recipients today. If our father was here today, he would be very proud and humbled by this award. He never felt that he was deserving of such awards, never felt that he belonged in the same company as people who receive these awards. But let me tell you, he did. He does. He has dedicated his life to the town of Ansonia and its youth. He was not only a football coach for 35 years, but the freshman basketball coach, the golf coach for Ansonia and surrounding schools, and also a track coach. Since our father's passing on Thanksgiving Day, so many people have told me what an impact he has made on their lives. That's very special and very deserving of a Lifetime Achievement Award. So, on behalf of our father, Coach Jack Hunt, we, his children, Jack's wife, Denise, his soulmate, and his grandchildren, Jordan, Jessica, Jalen, Michael, Mallory, and Jackson, we very humbly and appreciatively accept this award. Thank you very much.
On the other side.
Doesn't matter. Great.
Jack Hunt certainly has a lot to be proud of, and his legacy lives on through not only his family, but his football family as well. They promised me if I helped at this event, I could talk about my high school career for about 20 minutes. You good with that? You ready, Coach? No, it wasn't true? All right. Well, fortunately, my high school didn't have a football team, so there's really short story. Anyway, a lot of thank yous go out. I know Kevin, James, Don, Brian, Timmy. You're nervous about these events coming up. They put on, once again, a top flight event the entire weekend with the volunteers, all the hard work they put in. I know they run around, they're nervous. It comes to culmination tonight with the Black Tie Awards dinner, and a great job to all the Walter Camp folks. Continued good work moving forward, so thank you very much. Last thing, players, thank you for the joy you bring on Friday nights. I've had a lot of fun getting out to those games, watching you guys play, compete, and watching many of you continue on, running into you later in life, even if you're not playing football, and see that you've turned into fine young men. Thank you to the coaches for what you do, taking these young men and help shaping them and putting them out into the world. And thank you, parents. I understand the commitment is huge. Family and friends, they sacrifice a lot, but thank you for sharing your young men with us each and every Friday night. And I wish everyone great luck moving forward, and God bless, and have a great rest of the weekend, everyone. Thanks. I appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Great job. Thank you.
Good job. Good job getting everybody here.
Well, I was able to get yeah. You know what? As the season leads up, you're helping out with the office as well.
Wait, I ran three of the four. How old are you on post?
Yeah, you know what? I just made a shoot, so now I can go out and shoot. One more. Maybe in August or something.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, it's great to meet you. Thanks, I appreciate it. Thanks.